This one's going to take a while.
Well, there's 16. Mine's the last one, Cypress Heights. Cypress Heights. Well, it'll take a while.
I watched it. It was great.
I don't know. After that, it took less than 10 minutes. I just sit there. Not even 10 minutes. I don't know what's going on with the health department. We hardly get anything from them. For a while,
I know they're.
We were getting them like clockwork, and all of a sudden.
I know that they have changed some structures a little bit, so I don't know if that's shorthanded in environmental health or what.
I have to put in the staff. No comments
Up in
received.
there, yeah.
There's no comments. No comments received.
Yeah, so what does that do when you have to do that? I mean, because theirs is a little different than mine. Mine's
Well, the only real issue
right. So what percentage of yours do have a septic tank? Not many.
there's not a lot of septic north of that. Where it is. The project is north of
Yeah, I didn't figure a lot of it down there was septic.
pretty much everything south of the bay has central services. But north of the bridge, not so much. Like right now, they're extending the sewer to industrial park.
They can't always find their way down the fault.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Just go to
construction.
the hospital as far as it went. They're extending it to that industrial park right now. It's as far as south as it goes. Eventually, it'll all be
So is that regional utilities?
city of
Okay.
Air, it's the city. It's Freeport to go north to
Is it on? Okay. I will talk loud.
yeah, we have people that don't need to turn it on. But the plan is for Freeport to go north, the Funiac to go south, and somewhere in the middle. Because right now, sewer, my understanding is sewer only goes north from here to the post office.
Oh,
As far as it goes.
that makes
And that's the city of Freeport. So that's going to be extended at some point, but right now it's as far as it goes.
Do you live in a field? That area I grew up in was West End.
They kept that.
I've been using that much lately because there's nothing that's been interesting.
I'm a lot nervous there.
It gives me a little bit of exercise walking back and forth to the red box.
I know, but that's to get to the point where it's dangerous.
It is. I had one guy run me off his shoulder and walking with me.
They're not paying attention.
Whatever, he came over and I had to get over in the grass because he was moving. These people,
It used to be just being part of the city, all heading north, the craziness.
I had a guy brake check me on 331. I couldn't believe I still can't over in front of me. And I had my cruise control on. I thought he was going to go on. So I didn't hit my brakes and get released, but he didn't. So I'm right up on his bumper because my cruise is on. He hits his brake. I hit my brake and I'm about hitting him. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm doing 70 miles an hour and you're. And then he went on. After he did that, he went on. And I'm like, why didn't you just do that to begin with? I mean, you came over in front of me. That really pissed me off. I mean, I was within at least
It's 20 years past.
Right. I mean, I was,
Dangerous getting to work
what
nowadays.
the hell
isn't
are
it?
you doing? Well, there was a pretty bad rear end the other day.
Right there at Helpline?
Yeah, seen the fog. I mean, the guy hard.
Well, I've adjusted my hours. I live here in Freeport, and I've adjusted my hours, so I don't even work until 9. I don't have to deal with all of that crap. I can do
Yeah,
it.
by that time.
Most of it's gone, yeah. I'll work till 6 or 7 just to avoid the traffic both ways, coming and going.
Next year, 2018, we're just like that. Because I got really sheriff.
If I could have everyone's attention, please. We're going to bring this, we're going to call the meeting to order. Good morning. This is the Walton County Technical Review Committee for Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. We have a number of items on our agenda this morning, a number of items that we're going to continue. Appreciate everyone coming this morning, showing interest in your county and what's being proposed for development. I would ask that everyone observe our rules of civility. We're all neighbors here, and if we're not friends yet, I hope we all become friends. So let's respect one another. We may have some very passionate opinions about anything that's coming before this committee this morning. This is the place to say, we're not sure that this development meets the requirements of the land development or comprehensive plan, and we have questions about that. This is not the forum to say, I don't like what's being proposed in my neighborhood. But we will give you the opportunity to speak. That is one thing that we do here. We will give everyone that's here an opportunity to speak. I would hope that we'll limit those comments to specific questions about compliance with the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan. With that said, do we have any further announcements this morning? Then we will move right into our agenda. The first item is review and approval of the minutes from February 2nd. Do we have any adjustments to those minutes?
I don't see any, so I'll motion to approve the 2022 TRC agenda minutes as presented. Just wanted to say that like that.
Thank you. I like that. It won't happen again for 400 years or something like
Right.
that.
So,
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We will move right into our technical review this morning. We have a number of items that are being tabled, removed, or continued. We can take those in the order of the agenda. That'll help us provide a complete public record. Item number 2, Gulfview Estates. We have a request to table. Can we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is tabled. It can be resubmitted when it's ready. Fairwinds RV rezoning, we have a request to remove from the agenda. Can we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is removed from our agenda. Item number 4, the Fairwinds RV Park. We have a request to continue to March 16, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the March 16, 2022 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Number 5, the Destin Land Connection. We have a similar request to continue to March 16th. Can we have a motion of the dais?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? None. That item is continued to March 16, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to agenda item number 6, the Bishop Landing PUD. We have a request to continue this item from the applicant to April 6, 2022. Could we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Hearing none, this item is continued to the April 6, 2022 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to agenda number 7, the Dune Allen Second Edition Lot 7 and 8 replat. We have a request to continue this item to April 6 also. Do we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to April 6, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to agenda number 8, the Club Drive Lot 3326 replat. Request to continue this item to April 6. Can we have a motion at the dais?
And second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the April 6, 2022 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to number 9, the Hollow Lake large-scale amendment. This is a request to continue to April 6 also. Could we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the April 6, 2022 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Item number 10, the Finch Developer Agreement, a similar request to continue to April 6. Can we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? The Finch Developer Agreement is hereby continued to the April 6, 2022 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Item number 11, the Finch Small Scale Amendment. We have a similar request to continue to April 6. Can we have a motion at the dais?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to April 6, 2022 TRC at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to item number 12, the Huang Small Scale Amendment, request to continue to April 6. Have a motion at the dais.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the April 6, 2022 TRC agenda at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Just to cut, before we move forward with the next project, which will be item number 13 that we'll actually hear this morning. One of the things we frequently hear is the county approves every single thing that comes before us. Well, I think you will find this morning that the first 12 items on our agenda are not approved today. And until they meet the requirements in our comprehensive plan and land development code, they will not move forward. That is what we do here. And the reason that these projects aren't moving forward is because they are not in full compliance with the comprehensive plan and land development code. So just for the public's information, these projects are not approved yet. Now, they do have the opportunity to retool their application and resubmit in hopes of meeting the requirements of the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code. But until they do, this is where they stay. That said, and the other part of that is there's a tremendous amount of technical review by some 14 different individuals or agencies on all of these applications. And for one reason or another, these are not ready. And so they have the opportunity and the due process to go back through and address the concerns that staff and our agencies have, and they'll have the opportunity to represent to the TRC. With that said, we'll move to item number 13, the Camp Swift plat. This is a request to approve by final plat. Stephen, if you could introduce it for us.
Yes, good morning. Project number PLA 21-000047 is a plat application submitted by Volker Surveying on behalf of Subbip LLC requesting to plat 6 single-family lots on 1.25 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in the zoning category of neighborhood infill. The property is located in District 5 and can be identified by the parcel ID in your staff report. If I could please have the staff report, all electronic documents associated with the project, and the handout I set in front of you earlier entered into the record, please.
So entered. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. If I will just touch on the fact that this was continued from last meeting based on the number and nature of comments. As you can see from the handout, the applicant did resubmit the plat, addressing some of the comments. There are still some outstanding items. The survey, the county surveyor did not have opportunity to address his comments, so it's unclear if they have been satisfied. I do want to mention one thing, that the covenants and restrictions were submitted. Staff has some questions just pertaining to the satisfaction of the DO requirements in the covenants and restrictions that I've reached out to the applicant, and I'll let her address that this morning, as well as any other questions. If you have any for me, I'll answer them now.
Thanks, Stephen. Any other questions for Stephen?
Thank you.
We'll hear from the applicant. Good morning.
Good morning, Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman. Thank you very much. Yes, I did get the most recent staff report, and we will address all of these comments. I want to say too that it has come to my attention that the ownership of the property may have transferred to a new owner, so we're going to have to update that plat with a new dedicator and so forth. So we're actually going to, we were originally going to come in and ask that they be approved out of TRC because the comments are minor and can be addressed in a few days, but and given the circumstances, we believe we're going to have to be continued probably 30 days.
April 6th.
Yes.
We will entertain a motion to continue to April 6th. Was there anything else?
Actually, I'd like you to make that motion and vote on it, and then I'd like to ask you another question before we move on.
Could we have a motion to continue this item to the April 6th, 2022 TRC?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item's continued to April 2nd, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I would also like to say that the only other item, most of my items have been continued, but the last item on the agenda, which is Cypress Heights, Dunlap and Shipman, it has been hired or retained to represent the HOA of Cypress Dunes 2 for clarity. And I believe a lot of the people that are in this room are here about that. We have reached out to the agent for Cypress Heights, being Stephen Tatum. They have agreed to a continuance and to have a HOA meeting for us to discuss our concerns before we bring them before you. And what we would ask is that you continue it. Would you make a motion to continue it now? Because the HOA has agreed to that. Stephen is aware of my request.
And we actually sent an email yesterday afternoon requesting the continuance also. So if we could do that, and if there's no issues with the HOA agreeing with us, then let's continue. We would like to continue to the 16th, and then we may have to continue again depending on resolution of everything. But we would like to stay in the queue and be continued to the 16th.
March 16th? You're going to need longer than that.
So, I mean, our community meeting will happen very quickly.
Yeah, but we're going to have lots to discuss.
Sir, I'm sorry, what?
We'll have lots to discuss on this project.
I think so. Okay.
So I would suggest maybe a little bit longer.
Okay, well, then give us 30 days at the most.
6. I'd like to take these in the order of the agenda for the convenience of our public record and the way we've advertised this. I think we're amenable to continuing this. There are a number of folks here that may want to speak. And since they've taken the time to come this morning, I'd like to give them the opportunity. Hate for y'all to have to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we will enjoy your presence.
We're close anyway. We're close anyway on the agenda.
Yeah, and we're not very far away anyway. So thank you very much for that. With the continuance of number 13, we'll move to number 14. The Pecan Tree Solar Energy Center. This is a request to approve by minor development order, reviewed by Stephen Shaw. Stephen, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. Project number MIN 22-000004 is a minor development application submitted by the Planning Collaborative on behalf of Florida Power and Light, requesting to develop 1,107 square foot substation and solar panels on 762 plus or minus acres with a future land use of general agriculture and a zoning district of general agriculture. The property is located in District 2 and can be identified by the parcel number in your staff report. If I could, please enter the staff report and all electronic files associated with the project into the record, please.
So entered.
Thank you very much. There are a number of outstanding comments. Some of them are minor in nature and just require some clarification. Others appear to be, may require some additional work by the applicant, and I'll let them speak to that. If I can answer any questions for you, I will. If not, I'll turn it over to them.
Stephen, any other questions for Stephen at the moment? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Morning, Mac. Thank you for the time.
Good morning. If you could state your name, spell your last name for the record, please.
Brandon Eckard, ECKARD.
Morning.
I'm with FPL, and so I wanted to talk about Country. A few of the comments that we do have, we are planning to do some additional work and have some additional conversations with Bill and Haley as well. And so we are planning to talk with them, I think, later today if that works out. And so I just wanted to come forward and mention that. The structure that, we do have an existing structure on the property that is 1,000 square feet, and we are planning to keep that there. It's not necessarily our substation, so I did want to clarify that one thing.
Okay.
And then really just wanted to see if there's any questions.
I'm not sure that we have those beyond what's in our the staff report this morning. I do have one comment to make. I know that we did post notice for this particular meeting as is required. I would stress the need to make sure that the signs do stay up the entire period that they're supposed to stay up. This morning, that's not a deficiency. It's just a request for the convenience of the public. The sign was posted when it was supposed to be posted. We're satisfied that that met the requirements.
Great.
But if we could make sure construction and just anyone else out there maintains the sign and in good condition, just for the convenience and full opportunity for the public to know who and what's going on.
Definitely. And we did have that sign put back up. And so it looks as if the road crews pulled it up and put it on the bushes to the side when they paved the road. So definitely understood. We'll make sure that when we get another date, we get the dates updated.
Okay. How much time do you think you need to address the comments?
I feel within the month we could address them. Typically, floodplains, we do not impact, have any adverse impacts. And so we plan to elevate our panels above those areas. And so we will be able to provide sufficient data by the next meeting. There's some conversations we should be able to iron out all the data that you're requiring for your evaluation.
We will need, approximately a week to review whatever the resubmittal is. And this is our only review process here at TRC for this, as by settlement agreement. This remains a minor development. we would like to make sure that all the comments are addressed before we release it from TRC. So that was the nature of my request. How much time do you think you need to adequately address the comments?
We should have our responses ready by mid-month of this month.
Okay, April 6th?
Yeah,
First to come back, would that
yes,
be?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, then we will consider that. Did you have additional questions about any of the comments?
No, I think our meeting later today we'll clarify those with Haley. And then Stephen, if you're able to join.
One thing, sorry. Hello, Matt, Gary Hunter with Holtzman Vogel. Just to be clear, our legal notice of the site was posted. We had a courtesy sign that got taken down, so we'll make sure the signs are posted properly, but just to be clear, for the record's sake, it was, the legal sign was up the entire period applicable to notice requirements for this application, so.
I did note that the sign was placed properly.
Yes, sir.
And we did get the certification. I didn't indicate that it was a deficiency.
Yeah, understood. Just making it clear. I appreciate it.
Want to make sure that we keep the public informed, because this is a big project, and we have limited public notice by our agreement. So thanks for the good faith efforts to make sure the sign stays up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I do want to mention that we were able to host an open house where we invited neighbors within a quarter mile of said parcel. And during that time, we hosted the event in Paxton, and I invited those neighbors to come. We were there for about 4 hours and got to meet some of the neighbors and talk through, their questions on solar. And it was a positive event, and just wanted to mention that outreach that we conducted that wasn't required.
And I thank you for bringing that to us and putting that on the record. Any efforts to make sure that the public is fully informed are lauded by this board, and we appreciate that.
Great.
Other questions? We'll take just a moment to invite any questions about technical compliance from anyone in the audience this morning. Anyone in the audience have a technical question related to this particular application? I think everybody's here for something else. So thank you very much. We'll close that portion. We have a suggested motion to continue this to April 6th. Could we have a motion at the dais?
Motion, we continue this to the April 6th, 2022 TRC meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to April 6th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location, pending resubmittal. Thank you very much. This will move us to item number 15, the Dravinsky Rezoning. This rezoning request has been reviewed by Stephen Schoen. Stephen, if you'll introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. Project number REZ 22-000001 is a rezoning application submitted by Avcon Inc. on behalf of Andre Dravinska, requesting to change the zoning district from village mixed use to coastal center mixed use with a future land use of mixed use on 2.34 plus or minus acres. The property is located in District 4 and identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report. If I could please have the staff report and all electronic files associated with the project entered into the record, please.
So entered. Thank you.
Thank you. The rezoning application appears to satisfy the land development code and comprehensive plan. There are some minor notes from staff as it relates to the floodplain and kind of wetland impacts and how that could affect their future development. But there are, if I remember correctly, no outstanding comments that need to be addressed prior to this application moving forward. I can answer any questions you may have. If not, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Thanks, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Tanya Nation with AvCon. I'm representing Andre Dravinsky in this rezoning. The intent on those comments, we definitely will make sure that it complies with all the floodplain requirements, as well as any wetland impacts, and we understand that that will impact the percent impervious on this particular parcel.
How much of this site is what?
It is under half an acre. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was just under a half an acre.
The National Wetland Inventory that we have is an estimate to be verified based on survey data and wetland delineation.
Yes, sir, they did.
Taking a look at that yet on this particular one, but our estimation map makes this look almost entirely wet.
Yes, it does. We did have a formal wetland delineation completed by Wetland Sciences, which identified 2 separate isolated wetlands.
These would be the two up at the front.
Yes, sir. And what we're recommending is that before they move forward with the development plans, we'll have that delineation revalidated just to make sure. We'd like to make sure that those are current, and this is a current one, but we'll have it revalidated before it goes before any type of development order request.
What the proposed need for this rezoning would be, the applicant is aware that most all of that merchandise would have to be inside a building.
Yes, sir, he is aware of that. Yes.
Any other questions related to this request? It's essentially an opportunity to do a general commercial use as opposed to a neighborhood commercial use.
That is correct. The parcel is less than 3 acres, so it does restrict it, when the current village mixed use does restrict it to a neighborhood commercial. But with the developments on either side of it, and to the west, we've got the Fayard self-storage facility. So this would give us a little bit more of an ability to maintain just a more compatible use. And but he is aware of keeping all the merchandise indoors and so on.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone at the dais? Thank you. This will get a public hearing before the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners. Anyone here wishing to ask a technical comment or a compliance question related to comprehensive plan? Everybody's still here for something else. Hearing none, we will entertain a recommended motion.
Staff would recommend approval and placing it on the next available Planning Commission meeting agenda.
Thanks, Stephen. We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the Planning Commission at the next available opportunity. Thank you very much. I guess everyone's here for the very last item on our agenda, so don't have anything else today. We'll move to agenda item number 16, the Cypress Heights proposed minor development. It's been reviewed by Tim Brown. Tim, if you'll introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Tim Brown with Planning and Development. This is a minor development order application submitted by Nautilus Civil Engineers on behalf of Cypress Heights Holdings LLC, requesting approval to develop 20 townhomes with pool amenity and associated infrastructure on 2.1 acres with the future land use of residential and zoning of neighborhood infill. Property is located in District 4 at the intersection of Cypress Crossing and County Road 30A. There's outstanding comments from planning, public works, environmental, and floodplain management. Have not received any fire comments to date. The main comments from planning are compatibility analysis and the PUD amendment. This property is part of the Noble Dunes PUD, which required these two properties to do vertical mixed use. They're not proposing vertical mixed use. So in our estimation, it requires a PUD amendment if they're not going to do that. With that, I would like to enter the staff report, all the electronic records and the handout. I handed out public comment as well as a couple emails from the Water Management District. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tim. All of those items are so entered into the record. I know we've got a proposed continuance here this morning, but we have lots of folks that have come to express their opinion. I think we'll take the opportunity. We hear from the applicant. About this proposed development are from the public standpoint.
Understood. As I said, we are requesting continuance. We still would prefer the 16th, and then we could always recontinue. I think we can make it happen. I think some of the concerns, the PUD amendment being one, are just a matter of interpretation that we could work out with Mr. Hall. I won't go into a lot of detail, but vested with the 1997 LDC, which was in place when the PUD was approved, there are guidelines for what's a substantial deviation that requires a PUD amendment, and this would not qualify as one. Just going to say that. We'll discuss that later. Aside from that, I would prefer if public comment stays pretty general, considering that we're going to have a meeting with the HOA, and we will be back here. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. As I mentioned, we do have a number of technical comments related to the proposed development. Compatibility is certainly of paramount importance. Ability to access the roadway and the stormwater are questions that will need to be resolved, and those can't be resolved here this morning. But what I would like to do is give the public an opportunity to speak on this proposed development. I would request that we limit the comments as much as possible, given that the applicant and the HOA have agreed to have a public meeting to talk about the proposed development. And if possible, if you would not repeat the same comment that the person before you made, you are certainly welcome to acknowledge those. But in the interest of time, if we could be straight and to the point. So who would like to speak first? I guess that would be you, Melissa.
Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Chipman. If you don't mind, I would just like to, 1 minute, just turn around here. Everybody from Cypress Dunes, can you just raise your hand? We are requesting a continuance so that we can meet with the developer and their team. There is someone in the back across the street. We do not represent her, so I'll leave it to you all, but I wanted to just let you know. And they have agreed to withhold comment until we have our meeting, if that's acceptable.
That's perfectly acceptable with us. If acceptable
Well,
with
I
folks here,
apologize. Apparently,
wanna
some of the
speak-
people did not agree to that. One moment, please.
Then I'm inclined to let anyone that
Right.
would like to make a comment, make a comment.
Yes, sir. And then I'll just add for the record that Dunlap and Chipman, representing Cypress Dunes, or Cypress Dunes 2, does specifically request the continuance so that we can have a meeting to discuss the issues that we believe are significant.
So noted, thank you. Well, we got a lot of folks. If you'll raise your hands, we'll get to everyone. Yes, sir. If you'll come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record. And today we're talking about technical compliance with either the PUD or the Land Development Code or the comprehensive plan.
Okay. My name is Keith Harris, Harris. What else did you want me to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm the president of Cypress Dunes HOA. So I just wanted to come up here and say that this area has been considered the entrance to Cypress Dunes for 16 plus years. We've been maintaining it as it is the entrance to Cypress Dunes. So obviously, there's a lot of pride and emotion tied up into this land and how it reflects on Cypress Dunes when you first pull into the neighborhood. When we had, and kind of like for the record, I like to say, when they had the September 19th meeting, public meeting, in that meeting, there was a discussion about the height of these, being that coming into there, that 4 stories was a very, that's going to be something that's going to be looking down on the people in phase 2. And basically, the discussion around that was left out of the minutes. Their response to that was that they needed to have those 4 stories to get the maximum amount of money they needed to, be able to cover the cost of a $4 million parcel of land that they had bought. But it was left out of there. In the end of that meeting, I did talk to, I can't remember which one of the gentlemen here, but I talked to some of the developers and I said, when you guys get your plans better developed, you need to have let's have a meeting in Cypress Dunes, like a town hall kind of meeting, and you can present your plans and such. And let's, and keep the line of communication open. And they talked about keeping the line of communication open. A lot of time passed, didn't hear anything. Asked Candy, our CAM, to reach out to them and say, what's going on? They said that they were still working on the plans. We probably wouldn't be coming up for technical review until sometime in March. And about another month passed, and Candy got an email that said, hey, we've put the plans are out there for Walton County, and we recommend that you guys set up a meeting with our attorney, with the attorney, so that you could work out some cost sharing about stormwater. And we went out, got the plans, and it was like, we saw those plans. So that's when the community mobilized. There was no communication prior to that point, and the community mobilized out at, because when we saw this industrial, modern, looks like the kind of townhomes you'd find in a warehouse district, it sent everybody into a panic. So we did, I think you guys have seen those photoshopped images that we did to give a representation. We took what was put in Walton County in terms of their heights, the elevations for the townhomes. We took what was in the county that they had uploaded, the civil plans for the placement, and that's how we came up with those pictures. I will say the picture that inside Cypress Dunes looking out, I feel very comfortable that that's a pretty good representation to scale. The one on 30A, obviously that's a little bit more questionable, but it still gave people a little bit of a feel for how tall and how ominous these things are going to look, in our opinion. Yeah, this is the one from inside Cypress Dunes that I'm referring to.
That's in our packet.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Here. So anyway, we did get an email from them when we were sending out the first batch of emails that I guess they had seen what we had sent to you guys or to the county commissioner. They told us that that was a bad representation, that those drawings and the elevations that we're using were old or something. We responded with an email that these are the elevations that we pulled from the county planning website. And, if you believe that we're providing a bad representation, then we think the onus is on you to come and set up a meeting with the community and, dispel any misrepresentations that we're making and radio silence until we came to this meeting today. So I just want to say that I don't think there's been proper reach to the neighborhood from this group prior, and it took us finding these legal issues with the PUD and with the water that has brought us to the table today, and now they're willing to talk with us, so going to your point of being able to resolve this in a week, I think that's probably a little questionable myself. So that's it.
Okay.
You guys ask questions, or do you just want me to leave?
You can stay as long as you want. We may have to leave in a little while, but you're welcome to stay. This is a
Well, I just
public
meant leave the podium.
But no, I think you've been very articulate in expressing your perspective and concerns.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
And those things are on the record. Thank you, sir. Who would like to be next? Let's not all raise our hand at one time now. I think you did a pretty good job of articulating the concerns of the neighborhood. And based on the public comment that we've seen and we've shared with the applicant. Yes, sir. You come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Brett Cosmore. Last name is Kozimor. Just have a question. Can you explain the compliance nature of the technical review to where the architecture, the height, how does that come into play in this particular parcel? What are they allowed? What aren't they allowed? I think there's some gray area there as to, is this fully compliant the way that it looks right now based upon land zoning? And I'll leave it at that.
I think our staff report speaks for itself. You're welcome to read that online if you haven't yet. Compatibility is supposed to be addressed within the internal design of a planned unit development. And granted, this one was originally proposed 16 to 20 years ago. And this may or may not be the same design as was originally contemplated. Those are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. If this was the exact plan that was originally approved by the Board of County Commissioners, then that would be what they would get to do. This is not the exact plan that was originally approved. And that's why we're taking a more detailed a review of it, and why we propose that a compatibility analysis for the current proposed development design would be something that we would be looking for.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
I'm Terry Kirkjian, Kurkjian, and I also am on the board. I'd like to address this very quickly from a different perspective. I live in the neighborhood. I care about my neighborhood. Every day I drive in, there's deer on either side of the road. But more than that, I care about 30A. And the west end of 30A is a gem that we have that if we change it, can never go back. And I just think about these big, huge townhomes at the west end of 30A to the left of Topsail Hill Park, and I say, what are we thinking? This is tragic for this to happen. It doesn't go with the neighborhood. It doesn't go with the neighborhood behind it. It doesn't go with the neighborhood to the left of it, to the right of it. When you make your decision, I want you to think about the beauty of scenic 30A and more importantly, the west end of 30A. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we absolutely do consider those things because we live here. And in particular, I'm glad this morning that I'm not having to recuse myself from considering this particular development. My sister and brother-in-law own 2 developments on the south side, on the beach side, for a number of years. They did sell those a number of years ago, so I have no conflict of interest, but I'm very familiar with this development. I've come to it many, many times over the last few years, and I pretty much drive 30A as much as anybody that lives in North County, and I do live in North County. But I spend a tremendous amount of time on 30A, as I have for the last 60 years. So please understand that we care about 30A, we care about all of South Walton, and we care about all of Walton County. This is one county, and this is the greatest place to live in the world, in my opinion. And we want to make sure that it stays that way and continues to improve and not degrade. That is absolutely our charter, and that's what we're going to do. But we're going to do it within the confines of the law, and those laws include the Walton County Comprehensive Plan and the Walton County Land Development Code as adopted and amended and maybe subsequently amended by the Board of County Commissioners. We don't make the law at this level, but we are absolutely tasked with enforcing the law at this level with regard to approving things that are going to affect the future of our county. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ward. Do you have one more comment? And then I'll let this gentleman wants to speak first.
Thomas Gage, GAGE. Technical question in terms of traffic control and things like that. So even though we have a very large subdivision and we're still expanding and building that, I tell you what, actually with the school across the street and everything else, 7:30 in the morning, you cannot get out of our subdivision, which I love, you know, it's nice having kids in the neighborhood. So it's one of the technical conversations that we actually have a request here for access points along the street coming into our subdivision. Even though 20 doesn't sound like a lot, it actually is a lot when considering actually a townhome can support a fairly large family with a lot of multiple cars. So it's one of the technical conversations regarding actually, traffic and access.
What is your question?
So is one of the technical considerations of compliance related to actually the burden of increased traffic into the road? And a yes or no
I mean,
type
are
of
you
question.
talking about the entrance road to
Cypress Dunes,
Cypress
yes.
Dunes?
Yes.
These two parcels were always intended to have their traffic access off that road as opposed to County Road 30A.
I see.
We will not consider another access to County Road 30A for either of these two parcels.
And is the volume of traffic coming into the neighborhood actually a consideration?
Yes, sir, and it was
Outside that.
originally considered when this development was approved by the Board of County Commissioners.
I see. Thank you for that response.
Comments from the citizens that live in the neighborhood, I would like to just go ahead and get on the record what Dunlap and Shipman was prepared to say before we were going to have an HOA meeting. And specifically, we do believe that this is a substantial deviation to the PUD, and we do believe that this particular development is not in character and scale as it is required to be for compatibility with the neighborhood. We do believe that there is a concern about the stormwater, which you have evidence of, so we just like to make sure that gets on the record, and that we would like to just mention the site plan, the architectural plans that are uploaded to the portal indicate that each one of these 20 homes is a 5-bedroom house, and that the previously approved development were 3 and 2-bedroom apartments or homes, and therefore it is a significant change in what the neighborhood was expecting. We expect that this would have a neighborhood serving commercial use where these people might be able, the people in that community might be able to utilize and support their commercial uses that is being taken away. We believe that this is a substantial deviation and should be modified to become a major development order. So having put that on the record, I reiterate our request for a continuance in order to have an HOA meeting or community meeting. And we thank you for your time and attention to this. Thank you.
Just so everybody understands, something will be developed here. Yes, sir. You can come to the podium and you'll have an opportunity to speak. Something will be developed here. I expect it will be along the scale of what was originally approved in the original PUD. So these parcels will not sit vacant unless you buy them. If you buy them, you can decide what to do with them. But if you don't buy them, somebody will, and somebody's entitled to do some level of development here. Now, what's before us is to make sure that that development is consistent with either what was originally approved or can be considered consistent with what's already out here and available on these two particular parcels. The applicant has the opportunity to modify what was originally approved by going through the appropriate process. I just want to get that out there. This is not an effort to stop all development on these two parcels unless y'all buy it. That's the only way you can stop development on these two parcels. You can delay it for quite some amount of time, but ultimately something's going to get built here. What I'd like to see, and what I think y'all have already decided to do, is to sit down and talk with each other and see if something can be proposed here that makes financial sense both for the applicant, because they're not in this, out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, as much as we'd all like to think all development is just for good and not for profit, people don't do it if they can't make money because they can't afford to. There are very few people in this country that can afford to just buy something without expecting some kind of return. Now, granted, we have lots of those folks that have chosen to make at least some portion of Walton County their home, so I recognize that wherewithal exists, but that's not the normal world. It's not the normal development world. People are in development to make some kind of return. They take a tremendous risk. It costs a lot of money to develop real estate, but everybody does it with the expectation of some kind of return unless you're a nonprofit and you're doing development for a public purpose, such as affordable housing. But in this particular case, these applicants intend to make some kind of money, and that's what this country is based on. The opportunity to see an economic opportunity and take advantage of it to improve our station in life. So something's going to get built here. It's just a question of exactly what and what we can do to make sure that it is as compatible with our built environment around it as possible. But they do have a right to make application. They do have a right to build something. And if they were proposing to build exactly what was originally proposed, then at some point they'll probably get to do it because it got approved so many years ago. But I'm not sure that's what they're proposing to do today. And most of all of us were not here when this was originally approved. But they have an opportunity to apply, and they have an opportunity to propose something different than what was originally proposed. I think certainly given the will of the neighborhood and the will of the applicant, we can come to some kind of understanding about what can be proposed here that is still financially viable both for the applicant and acceptable for the folks that have to drive by it every day. Yes, sir. Can you state your name for the record, spell your last name?
My name is Reese Davis, and I'm a resident in Cypress Dunes, 103 Cypress Walk. I'm also on the board. I just want to make 2 points and see if I can ride that razor's edge, but also make it clear that there are numerous people in our community that are developers and builders in Walton County. I am one of them. I understand the fact that anybody who buys commercial property has an intention to make money. Our goal, one, is not to prevent that. Our goal is to make sure that we're adhering to both state and county regulations as it relates to compliance to water, access, and easements. And I think you've all been provided with some information that has caused us a great deal of concern. So having said that, I also want to say that we are absolutely poised and positioned to sit down and talk with the people that own that property so together we can put something in place that makes sense, not only for us, but for them, given that consideration, and for the basic aesthetics of 30A. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else have a comment or question? Applicant?
I'm not going to rebut anything that was said or argue about it since we're going to be back. So we have nothing right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your willingness to sit down with the neighborhood. Did we do the motion already? Okay. I didn't think we did. We've got a recommended motion to continue this to April 6, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Could we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Hearing none, this item is continued to the April 6 TRC at 8:30 a.m. in this location. thank everyone for your attendance and your civility this morning, and we look forward to the good report from this community meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion? And a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned.